Hello Stratters, welcome to a match of Modern, here playing Temur Midrange. I am on the draw for this first game, and let's take a look at our hand. So I think this hand is fine. Being that we're on the draw, it could be a little bit slow unless this roast is effective against whatever our opponent's doing. But okay, so they fetch Thoughtseize, so this could be something like Grixis Shadow, potentially like a Grixis control deck, although they usually don't tend to play Thoughtseize, maybe even like a Grixis Delver deck. Alright, so we drew Lightning Bolt. And given that the opponent took Roast, this Lightning Bolt might end up having a target. Although if the opponent is going to go maybe like a Thought Scour and a Tasker here, it's not going to be as effective as the Roast would have been. Okay, so the opponent plays a Death Shadow. And I'm going to take the bait here and try to bolt this Death Shadow. And it worked. Nice. Okay, so one of the kind of weaknesses of the Temur deck compared to other decks that you could play at this stage in Modern is that the red removal just isn't very well positioned against the threats that you would encounter in a deck like the Grixis Death Shadow deck or the Jund Death Shadow deck, any of the flavors of the Death Shadow deck. Sometimes Death Shadow is just too big, and cards like Tassiger, Gurmag Angler, Tarmogoyf also can grow outside that range. So they Thought Scoured us, which is really interesting because you'd think that they would want to put cards in their graveyard to delve away. Maybe they're just really unsure of what they're playing against. They wanted to take a peek. No, they're still Thought Scouring us. I don't know. That doesn't really make any sense to me. Like, now we have extra cards in our graveyard for Snapcaster targets. I mean, for all they know, we could be playing a card like Hooting Mandrills or something, and they just help us cast it. It's a bit odd. Yeah, I just don't... Unless you're actually trying to mill your opponent out, I don't think the game's so far gone that you need to just get information about what your opponent's playing. I don't see the reason for Thought Scouring your opponent instead of yourself, especially if they go to play something like a Tassiger. I mean, maybe like you Thought Scour yourself on the first one or two, but then... So I think I'm going to just play a Snapcaster out since we have so many of them. And then, okay, nice. So just gonna roast this Death Shadow. Hope that they don't have like a Street Wraith or something to blow us out. They don't. And I think just start attacking with the Snapcaster Mage. It's gonna get Fatal Pushed. Yep. See, that's kind of the thing with Temur's removal. All you have is red-based removal. And like, since Fatal Push came out, it's just such a good card. I mean, I think there are points where this Temur deck is competitive, but right now you just really want to be playing cards like Fatal Push, Path to Exile. we're, playing like a proactive kind of combo deck, I think. But I still have a lot of fun with this teamer list. Okay, so they take a Snapcaster Mage. And we draw our 4th Snapcaster Mage. There's some thought to cycling this Electorlyze, just getting our opponent for 2 on the main phase, but it might need to like tag team with a Lightning Bolt to kill like a Gurmag Angler or something. Now on their end step, I'm inclined to fire it off. I really want to find a 4th land, get this Huntmaster into play. We don't. Mana Leak is a little bit dead right now. Although if the opponent plays something like Kolaghan's Command, could be useful. They're still thought scouring us. I don't know. That just seems... Sure, they can Inquisition. This lets them see the mana leaks. I may just use this Void Grafter, flash in as a 2/4, start attacking. They're at 6, it's 3 attacks, so I have a Snapcaster Mage and a Lightning Bolt. And they're thinking. Attack in with the Void Grafter. I think this deck typically just plays the 4 Fatal Push and maybe just 1 or 2 Terminates, so there's a good chance that our Void Grafter just lives. What are they casting? Tapped a lot of mana there. That's unusual. I wonder if they're gonna delve. Sure, that's fine. End step, Snapcaster Mage, Lightning Bolt, Bolt you, tap, and swing in. Now, even if they have Fatal Push, presumably they would have done it while I was tapped out. I mean, they know I have Mana Leak. I wonder what they had in hand at the end. Okay, so I think we were a bit lucky to get that one. A lot of times the Roasts, Lightning Bolts, Flame Slashes don't match up very well against this deck. So I think I want Engineered Explosives. It's just a nice answer to a Death Shadow. Deck is pretty low curve, so Mana Leak is okay, but I think shaving 1 on the draw is fine. Vendilion Clique could be a consideration. We didn't see any of the Delve creatures, and the way that they thought scoured us, it makes me think maybe they don't have them, but I feel like they have to have them. What did we see that was Spell Snareable? Just terminate. So maybe cut those. Bring in Negate. And I kind of want to click. Perhaps. They could also have Snapcaster that I would want Spell Snare against. I'll submit like this. I presume that our opponent is just playing a pretty stock Grixis Death Shadow deck, but with the Thought Scouring Us and some of the other plays that the opponent made, I'm not entirely sure. So this hand is very top heavy, but it has interaction. If the opponent just Thought Seizes our Serum Vision, I feel like we'll have a hard time. I'm going to keep, though. Cycle Street Wraith. So they do have Street Wraith. So we need to, again, whenever we go to try to Lightning Bolt or roast a Death Shadow, keep in mind whether Street Wraith can blow us out or not. So Thought sees us. So we'll see if they're going to go for that, mana screw plan of taking the Serum Visions, or if they're going to pull out some of our removal. It'd be very surprising to see them take one of our late game cards like Huntmaster or Cryptic Command. You never know, they could. Okay, so they do take Huntmaster. Interesting. So this can just fetch out a Steam Vents and cast Serum Visions. Nice that we already have a land. Although we do want to hit a couple more lands to get these Cryptic Commands online. So Stomping Ground we don't need. Misty Rainforest we would like, just because it's another blue source. Pass back to the opponent. Not shocking themselves. Inquisition, so this will probably take one of our, well, it's going to take one of our removal spells. If they take Lightning Bolt, they probably have or if they take Roast, they could have, yeah, so Roast indicates likely Tassiger or Gurmag Angler. I think if they had a Death Shadow, they'd probably take the Lightning Bolt, just so on this turn when they played the Death Shadow we couldn't bolt it immediately. We would have to wait until our next turn and roast it at sorcery speed. Okay, so they do have a Tassiger. We'll take a Steam Vents. Yeah, so I just find it very odd that last game they were Thought Scouring us when they have cards like Tassiger and Gurmag Angler in their deck. I mean, I could see maybe, one of the Thought Scours, seeing they're doing it again. And I don't see the point of this because sure, we'll let them Inquisition us. Yeah, so we could have taken the Electorlyze, or we could have cast the Electorlyze in response. See, so what I'm saying is, pretty soon here we'll probably have to Cryptic to bounce the Tassiger, and if they had Thought Scoured themselves, they would very, very easily be able to recast their Tassiger, but since they Thought Scoured us, they're going to have to delve away a lot of different cards. So we'll probably take the hit and then end step, bounce the Tassiger. Let's see, what is this? So I'm going to counter target spell, return target permanent to its owner's hand. They could have Dispel, Stubborn Denial, something like that. But if this resolves, this will be really good. See, so now they're going to have to delve away most of their graveyard to get this Tasigur back into play, and then just not have much graveyard left. I don't know, it's really confusing. So when you're playing a deck with Tasigur, Gurmag Angler, just Thought Scour yourself, like 90% of the time. So this looks like delving out that Tasigur again. They aren't doing anything. Okay, so Negate is really good with the 6 mana just because we'll have Cryptic, and if they have something like their own Negate, we can counter that back. So I wonder if they're waiting for a discard spell, perhaps, to deploy the Tasigur again. That would make, I guess, a bit of sense. This might be another Collective Brutality. No, 2 blue. I'll let Snapcaster resolve. Probably negate the Collective Brutality, I imagine, is what their play is here. Snapcaster, the Collective Brutality, then I'll just negate that. I want to save the Cryptic Command for the Tasigur, since that's really our only answer to it at this point in time. And negate Collective Brutality. And I might want to Lightning Bolt the Snapcaster just to have it off the board. I think that's fine. Okay, Lighthouse will be a good draw going forward. So this is going to help us at least turn lands into spells as the game progresses. Yep, Serum Visions. So they're either going to have a Death Shadow or they're going to have a Tasigur. And even though Tasigur can become a card advantage card, and it can be, become a card advantage card through the activations, I think I would rather them have Tasigur than to have... See, they're thought scarring themselves again. Or not thought scarring themselves. It can become a card advantage card. Ooh, another Death Shadow. And now play Tasigur. Okay, so we're in a bit of trouble here. Just because Tasker, I know I'm always going to be able to roast, versus Death Shadows can grow a little bit bigger, so that was why I kind of wanted to counter the Death Shadow and let the Tasker resolve. Okay, so these are nice. I want a Tarmogoyf, I want an Engineered Explosives, so I can loot. I think I want to Snapcaster roast the Tassiger just to deny that card advantage, and then I'll have explosives on top to deal with Death Shadow. And a Tarmogoyf to follow up with that. I have Desolate Lighthouse to loot away this Scalding Tarn, get me a little bit closer to some business. So I was feeling a bit worried when our opponent passed with Death Shadow, Tassiger in play, but now I'm feeling alright about where things are sitting. So this looks like maybe another Delve spell? I think I'm going to take the hit off of Death Shadow right now. Explosives for 1. See if this resolves. It does, so I need 2 mana to pop the explosives and then 3 mana to activate. 3 mana plus the lighthouse. Okay, so I think I can do everything I want to this turn. This fatal push? Yep. Alright. So I'll let the opponent go into combat, activate the engineered explosives, and then I'll activate the lighthouse after that. And we know we have a Tarmogoyf on top, so we'll end the turn with a Tarmogoyf in hand, have a fresh draw step. So I think this is another Delve creature from what the opponent was doing before. Ooh, oh no, okay, hard cast Street Wraith. Alright, so Tarmogoyf will hold that off, no problem. Yeah, I was wondering what was happening there. Discard Scalding Tarn. Okay, play Tarmogoyf. And I'm going to hold up the Desolate Lighthouse activation. Be pretty sick if the opponent just played an Urborg, had us on a 2-turn clock. Thought Scour us, as is the opponent want to do. And this time, like, Thought Scour us makes sense because they put cards on top with the Serum Visions. But so that's like one of those 10% of the times. Like I said, 90% of the time you want to be Thought Scouring yourself if you're playing a deck with Tassiger and potentially Gurmag Angler. But most of the time, ooh, another Tarmogoyf, nice. So let's make sure that Wow. Yeah, let's make sure that this Tarmogoyf resolves, then we'll attack with the Tarmogoyf that's on board. And yeah, I doubt they block just because they could get, even another Street Wraith at this point could enable double block on a Tarmogoyf. But they need to answer 2 Tarmogoyfs at this point, and that sounds kind of difficult for them. Probably will activate Lighthouse and get rid of this mana leak. Seems like it's not going to be very effective at this point. Well, they could have like Kolaghan's Command and try to go Kolaghan's Command, get back Tasigur or Death Shadow and recast it, in which case the mana leak will catch that. Alright, and we won the game. So I think that's a kind of a difficult matchup for this deck, just because the red removal doesn't always match up like you want it to, like a Fatal Push or like a Path to Exile does. But we do have, cards that are good in the matchup, and cards like Engineered Explosives out of the sideboard pay a lot of respect to that matchup. So it feels nice to get that one down with a win, and I think I'll be back with another match. Stay tuned, Stratters.